Yeah, they're definitely tricky. But like in general, social studies, English is in general just hard sometimes. If we have Islamic civilization in the exam, then it's gonna be easy. But
That's in for next exam. Have no worries. For fourth quarter
yeah,
exam, you will have the Islamic civilization.
yeah, all right, that's okay, I guess.
So for today's session, well, a lovely day it is. It's a very lovely day, I believe, and all of you now are enjoying your time after the exam, and I believe this is your final session. You still have another session, right?
No, this is our
I have one more session, but
yeah one more
it's
session.
the physics session, which and the
It's
first
what?
class was the exam. So I'm just for me, I think I'm gonna skip it and go to sleep.
It's what?
It's physics, science. We already
Oh,
took the
We
exam
had the
today for
exam,
science.
so yeah, I'm not I'm not gonna go either.
Yeah,
well,
just
actually, you
you
have
need
to
to
go
keep.
because you will study for the next quarter.
I barely
Alright.
concentrated this quarter.
The next quarter
No,
for
no, we're
me.
studying about
Come
kinetic
Gonna
energy and that energy. It's easy. It's easy. No worries.
Like
on,
we
guys.
studied kinetic energy in like the sixth grade, and
I
until
think we
now we're
studied
still
it before
studying
that,
it.
but
I
I
mean,
easy. It's
think
easy.
you
No
wish,
worries. No
it's
I
worries.
really
think
easy.
all of you wish that it were just as easy as it was in grade six.
Well, it's not
Grade
easy.
six was
Like last
easy.
quarter
Grade
was
six was
hell.
the grade six was fun. Grade six was amazing.
It was fun because we had a certain teacher teaching us.
mm,
Oh,
And
that is
every subject we had a teacher that
yeah,
was
it's fun.
amazing. Not good as you though, but still amazing.
But yeah, it was very good.
That's hard, man.
I wish Mr. Darwin was still teaching us science or
Darwin.
whatever his name is.
Damien.
I don't think his name was Darwin, but
I forgot his name.
where did you get that name from?
Damien.
Oh yeah, Damien.
Okay, Darwin.
Yeah, that's.
He used to teach us math.
Where did you come up with that?
I don't know. I knew it was like.
No, that was last year. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he was here last year. Well, as you know, guys, problem happens all the time. Yet we are all here together, and nothing bad is gonna happen.
I heard he said he wanted to get to vacation and never came back.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that hurts.
Hello, can you still hear me? Or I'm lagging?
Yes, we can hear you.
No,
Okay.
you're alive.
Okay, someone sent something on the chat. Stop laughing, you. All right. So back to our topic. We have been speaking about the Islamic civilization. Monk or monkey? Okay, quick revision about what we have already studied in the Islamic civilization. So, in front of you is a map for most of the places that the Islamic civilization has spread onto. So, first of all, the era of our Prophet, peace be upon him, first Islam started to spread in the Arabian Peninsula from Medina and from Mecca, and then started to spread around Yemen, and also some parts in nowadays United Arab Emirates. Later, after our Prophet peace be upon him passed away, and the Muslim caliphs came, Omar and Abu Bakr, Omar, Uthman, and Ali, they started also to expand the territories of the Muslim lands. They included Egypt by Amr ibn al-As, and also went to Syria, Damascus, Baghdad, Afghanistan, and some parts of the Persian Empire. Later, after the Umayyad Caliphate, which we have already studied yesterday, Tariq ibn Ziyad also had went far away all over the northern of Africa, and also went to Spain, and they just were magnificent as they reached more and more lands than ever. And this is considered to be the seventh biggest civilization ever to hold more countries together. So approximately in the Abbasid Caliphate, they started to go a little way from what they had already conquered in the Persian. But some places were lost, like the Indus River, and some other places were gained. And unfortunately, they lost control of both Spain and Morocco. But after 1,000 years of Islam, that was the shape of the Ottoman state. Okay, as Muslims spread, of course, it became more diverse religion, and fragmentation and invasion led to the decline of the empire in AD 900. And of course, that the green one is the last shape of the Islamic civilization after 1,000 years of our Prophet peace be upon him. That was the era of the Ottoman state. So we have spoken about the Umayyad, we have spoken about the decline of that civilization and the rise of them. Where exactly did we stop? And back to North Africa, I believe.
Maybe up.
Yeah, above, I think.
Conquered. Yes, I think this.
Yeah.
After Google, okay. Delete. So, conquered people under the Islamic rule. What do you mean by conquered people?
Another
One-
civilization taking control of another,
Yes. So,
conquering them, taking control of their land.
so the one that is conquering right now is the Islamic one. Okay. Let's take, for example, Egypt. Okay. So, Egypt was taken under Islam exactly when? Do you know when Amr ibn al-As opened Egypt? Come on.
Sorry, I
Can you
don't.
repeat the question?
Do you know when did Amr ibn al-As open Egypt?
When you want a date?
632.
What?
632. 100%.
Google.
Correct?
So, Amr ibn al-As, of course, opened Egypt at the era of Caliph Umar ibn Khattab. And while doing so, how do you think that he treated the people there?
With respect.
Why?
Because he was a respected man.
He was a respectful man. Okay. So, how did the people under the Islamic rule? Because back then, once Amr ibn al-As went to Egypt, okay, all of Egypt, or like 80% of the Egyptian people, were Christians, and there were some Jews also, Jewish. Okay, most of Egypt was Christian, okay, under the Christianity, and some of them were Jewish. Okay.
Oh, Ibrahim, can you mute?
Huh?
Can you mute?
Wait,
What was that?
Salim, chill, Salim. God damn it, Salim.
Is there a way to permanently mute Adam?
All right. So once again, we need just to imagine how people lived under the Islamic rule. Of course, Amr ibn al-As, he went to Egypt in 639 and he opened Cairo in that year. Later, he went to Alexandria 1 or 2 years after it, so that's 640 and 641. He managed to open Alexandria. So the question here is, how did the people in Egypt react to Amr? Did they accept him or they did not accept him? If they accept him, why? If they did not accept him, why? So the answer is
Accept, I think, because he showed them that you can stay in your religion, but you need to pay taxes, I think. Something like that.
pardon? I beg your pardon? What?
They respected him because maybe
They
he gave
respected
them
him.
the choice of staying in their religion.
Nice. Great. So did they live in prosperity or vice versa? Who was the controller of Egypt before Amr ibn al-As comes? The ruler of Egypt back then. Do you know him?
No.
What civilization? Was it the Egyptian civilization they were in control? Or they were under occupation by other
They
civilizations?
were
They
under
control the
occupation
pharaoh.
Yes, by whom?
by I forgot
Those in Europe.
the Greek.
No, long after the Greek came the Roman.
Roman.
Roman came
Yeah,
after
the
the
Roman
Roman, the
Empire.
The
Byzantine.
Romans.
Yeah, their descendant, the Byzantine Empire. Okay, the descendants of the Roman. So Egypt back then, it was under the control of the Byzantine Empire. Of course, the Byzantine Empire, they did not take any control of Egypt for the Egyptian people or for the Christian living in Egypt. They held the control of Egypt and occupied Egypt only for its wealth. Okay, so
For
the
their
Byzantine
benefit.
Empire, yeah, for their own benefits, like any other conqueror. So the Byzantine Empire, they sent a pope for Egypt. Do you know the pope?
Yeah, someone who I think they think
The
speaks
most
directly to
supreme
God.
religious person. Okay, because they are Christians, they were held control by the church. Okay, so the most supreme leader of the church, or the highest eminent and the leader in the church, is called a pope. All right, so the Byzantine Empire, they sent a pope to Egypt in order to take control of Egypt, but unfortunately he was a corrupted man. He just came for his own benefit, for taking the wealth of Egypt. Consequently, now what happened? First, the Egyptian people had their own pope in Alexandria. So once the Byzantine pope came, he banished that man into the desert. So now the pope were taken from the Egyptian Christian. And for your know, still up this day, okay, the Egyptian pope is super highly respected by the Egyptian. So the Christian people asked the Muslims to help them. So they sent messages. They heard about some people are called Muslims, and those Muslims are opening all the countries next to them, like Syria and Damascus and Jerusalem. And from the people living in Jerusalem, the Christian people living in Syria, the Jewish people living there, while making trade with the Egyptian people, they told them about those Muslims. They told them that now we are under the control of the Muslim people, and they are very welcoming people. They are helping us so much. We are practicing our religious rituals without any pressure, without doing anything. So they sought for the help of the Muslims. That's why Amr ibn al-As, he took this job to open Egypt, and even he did not ask the Caliphate Umar ibn Khattab back then. He had his army with him, I believe, was in Jerusalem back then, and he went directly to Egypt. And on the way, he sends to Umar ibn Khattab. So once Amr ibn al-As reached Egypt, all the Egyptian people celebrated him. They accepted him. They accepted that they will be under the Islamic control, although that they are still Christians. So why? Number one, Amr ibn al-As, of course, he defeated the Byzantine Empire in Egypt, and all of the other soldiers from Europe went back and fled. Number two, the Pope that the Byzantine Pope banished, okay, he brought him back to Alexandria. So now he brought for the Christian people their Pope, and up till this day, this nowadays, okay, in 2021, when you listen to a Christian Pope or monk speaking, he will mention that he will mention this. He will tell you, we here in Egypt, we live in cooperation because since Amr ibn al-As time, we are living in peaceful. We are living together. So there is no difference between a Muslim and non-Muslim in Egypt. All of them are living side by side. Okay, so he presented them by just, by law, by advancement, by every possible means. And the most important thing is that they respected him. We Muslims, we believe in both Jesus and his mother, Mary the Virgin, and that Jesus was born miraculously, and he was one of the mightiest messengers sent by Allah. But of course, we have comment on that they believe that he's a god or something like that, their Trinity. But rather than that, we believe in the same God and we share the same common views. So the Egyptian people accepted all of that and they lived together peacefully. Even one time, a very amusing tale actually. One time after Amr ibn al-As opened Egypt and now everything was very well, they made like a race, a horse race. Okay, so in that race, who contributed? Some Muslims, okay, contributed in that race, and some Egyptian, Christian Egyptian, and others, okay, so they contributed in that race, and the one who won was a Christian Egyptian. So an Egyptian man won in the race, and he won to whom? Amr ibn al-As's son. So Amr ibn al-As' son, he was in the race, and he lost to an Egyptian man. So Amr ibn al-As's son, he became so furious and he hit the man. Okay, do you know the stick that they used to hit the horses?
Yes.
Yeah, he hit that Egyptian guy with that stick. Of course, the Egyptian guy, he did not hit back because, come on, you are my leader's son. Okay, Amr ibn al-As was taking control of Egypt, so you are the leader's son, so I cannot hit you back. What can I do? What can I do? Shall I go to your father, Amr ibn al-As, and tell him? But after all, it's your son. You're not going to hit him. That's what he thought. Okay, so what did I do? What do I do? What do I do? Okay, I heard that they have some man called the Caliph, Umar ibn Khattab, so I'm going to him. So that Egyptian guy went from Egypt, okay, till Mecca and met Umar ibn al-Khattab. And there he told Umar ibn al-Khattab about the incident, that he had a race with Amr ibn al-As's son. And after he won to Amr ibn al-As's son, he hit him. And now I need my right. Of course, Umar ibn al-Khattab, once he heard that, he was furious, very angry. He, in that moment, he sent a letter bringing both Amr ibn al-As and his son from Egypt to Mecca. And once both of them came, Amr ibn al-As always used a stick to walk with, okay, because he was getting older, of course. He was getting so old. So once both Amr ibn al-As and his son came to Mecca, Umar ibn al-Khattab gave the Christian Egyptian man his stick and told him, hit Amr ibn al-As's son, the son of the pious. Because while Amr ibn al-As's son was hitting him, he called him, do you race or do you win to the son of the pious? The son of the best, meaning that the best people, because we are Muslim and they are Christians. So Umar ibn Khattab gave the Christian man his stick and told him, hit Amr ibn al-As's son. So the man took the stick and he hit him. And after he finished hitting Amr ibn al-As's son, Umar ibn Khattab directed the speech to the man and told him, and hit Amr ibn al-As himself on his head, because his son, if he didn't know that Amr ibn al-As was the leader of Egypt, he would have never hit you. So all the people, all the followership of our Prophet, peace be upon him, they were astonished. So Amr ibn al-As's son hit the man, and the man now hit him. So that's it. So why do you want him to hit his father? Amr ibn al-As has nothing to do with that. right? So all the people were astonished, but the Christian Egyptian guy, he refused to hit Amr ibn al-As, and he told Umar ibn al-Khattab that now I have my right. So this man hit me, and I hit him back, and that's it. And Umar ibn al-Khattab said this to know that there is no difference between any one of you. All of the humans are alike. Even they are Muslims, they are Christians. You have no right to hit any other man. So just imagine right now, okay? Just a couple of decades ago, while the Egyptian people were under the Byzantine Empire, and nowadays under the Muslim Empire. And the Muslims, if the leader himself or his son did something bad to you, you can hit him. But back in the Byzantine Empire, so the Byzantine Empire, they did what to the Egyptian? They hid them, collected heavy taxes from them, stole their wealth, raped their wives, killed their kids, punished their popes and nuns. So they were very bad. So comparing now to civilization to the Egyptian people, no, we will accept Islam. And that was the reason for Islam to spread very, very fast in Egypt. And from Egypt, it started to spread also to northern Africa. From northern Africa came the Barbarian people living in northern Africa. And from them, we had a man who was a relative to Amr ibn al-As, by the way. His name was Tariq ibn Ziyad. Have you heard that name before?
I believe so.
I haven't.
Yes.
No, come on. Come
No,
on,
no,
guys. What
yes.
about history?
We took him last year, first
Come on. What
first
do you,
semester.
what do you know about your history? So, Tariq ibn Ziyad, he was from the Berber people here in that place. He was very, very super talented leader. Okay, he took his troops and started to move from one country to a country until he reached Morocco, and he opened all of these countries. Even though that some of the people, of course, here, the barbarian living in northern Africa, were against him and even tried to kill him more than one time and put traps on the way. But of course, he was so intelligent, super intelligent. One of the most important incident about Tariq ibn Ziyad, of course, I have spoken to you about Spain and that the Muslim traders and merchants spread Islam in it first before they started to march by army, right? I told you that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Spain here was first introduced to Islam by the merchant and the Muslim traders. After that, Tariq ibn Ziyad now needed to take control of the land. Now you are still Christians. You are being ruled by Christians, and this rule affects you because they collect the heavy taxes and they are not fair to you. Consequently, what did Tariq do? Tariq took his men, his army, and he read the Strait of Gilbert. He took them in, he went onto the ships, and that was the first time for Muslims to ride ships because they always would fight on land. Okay, from the
Wait, I
Indian,
think I remember now.
yeah, from
But
the Indus River until
yeah,
the until Morocco. All of that on land, no water. The only time to ride to get into some boats was while moving from the east of the Nile to the west of the Nile.
so
That's it.
he was the first person to use like
Yes, ships. Yes, from one
ships.
continent to the other. So while doing so, and by the way, Umar ibn al-Khattab refused that Muslims go fight beyond the seas
Because
because,
he was scared they would die.
yeah, he's scared that they will
Now
die.
I
He doesn't
remember.
know how to do that, and that's resembles his intelligence because you Muslims, you have the ability to fight on land. You are born in the desert. You are strong men. You can use the camels, horses, phalanx techniques. All of that will not stop in front of your face. You are strong on land, but in the sea, no, you're not. Okay, because you have not countered war in sea before. So that was the first time that Muslims go on ships. They went into the ships and moved from Morocco into Spain. Once they reached Spain, here, what did Tariq do? He burned all of the ships that they carried them from Morocco to Spain. He burned them all. And once he burned them, And once he burned them, what did he tell his men?
Sorry, man. So just
Good job.
say that.
No, not good job. He just burned. They just went to the beach and he told them.
Hello.
Yes.
So what's happening?
So once again, they went to the beach. I'm so sorry. Once they went to the beach, what did he do?
He burned the what?
He burned the ships. And after he burned the ships, he told his men that now the sea is behind you and the enemy is hid.
Yeah, we learned this, I think, last year. Definitely.
Okay, and that's how he started to march towards Spain. He started to march towards Spain and he took the city, and all of it was under the control of the Muslims right now until he reached France. And actually, by that, he went to Tours. And once he went there, what happened? Of course, by that time, okay, they countered for the first time frost. You know frost?
The cold winter.
Yeah, severe cold.
And they're not
Severe.
used to it.
Yeah, and they are not used to that. They are from Mecca, Medina, and the desert. Moved to Egypt, very hot. Northern Africa, super hot. So, for the first time, they will go to a very severe and harsh circumstances of temperature. Consequently, they failed to open tourists and they went back to Spain. And they stayed there in Spain. And in Spain also, they started to construct one of the best and most influential Islamic civilization that has ever existed, which is the
Wait,
Andalus
I just have
civilization.
one question right now. So
Yes,
this is the Umayyad Caliphate, right? All of this was under the Umayyads.
yeah, all of this was under the Umayyad Caliphate.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, got it.
Any other questions so far?
Nope.
Yes,
All right,
teacher.
let's read this paragraph and that's it.
We are studying the Muslim creed,
The Muslims what?
Muslim people, how Muslim start and what they
Civilization, yes.
make.
The Muslim civilization.
Yeah,
All right, so conquered people under the Islamic rule. Who's eager to read that paragraph?
I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Conquered people under Islamic rule. The advancing Arabs brought many people under their rule in Asia, North Africa, and beyond. These Arabs imposed certain restrictions and a special tax on non Muslims, but allowed Christians, Jews, and Zoroastrians to practice their own faiths and follow their own religious customs to a limited degree within those restrictions. Early Umayyads did not attempt to convert these non Muslims because a tax supported the Arab troops who settled in conquered areas. As Muslim civilization developed, many Jews and Christians played key roles as officials, doctors, and translators. Muslim leaders prohibited looting and destruction of conquered lands, ensuring continued wealth and prosperity for the empire in the form of tribute and taxes. However, the rulers also urged Arab settlers to stay separate from the native populations, which created an Arab upper class throughout the empire. In time, many non-Muslims converted to Islam. Some converted to gain political or economic advantages. Others were drawn to Islam's message. In later centuries, Turkish and Mongol converts helped spread Islam far across Asia.
So simply, we're speaking about how the people under the Islamic rule started to practice their own religion and how everything was set for them. Of course, under the Islamic religion, all the people practiced their own religion, whether they were Christian, Jews, or even Zoroastrian, and all of them had to pay some sort of taxes, which we have already spoken about previously, so we'll not waste time in it. Later, of course, unfortunately, by the time goes, something actually very bad started to happen, which is having a distinguished level of society. So, coming back to the same thing that we have countered before, which is the level pyramid of society. At the beginning of Islam, all people were just like this. So,
At the
Caliphate,
bottom.
yeah, not at the bottom, just one layer. Okay, you are
Oh,
Caliphate,
so
you
yeah,
are a
alright.
scholar, you are a merchant, you are a farmer, you are nothing, whatever you are. Okay,
You're still
all
not
of you are equal.
powerful.
But of course, by ages comes and goes, unfortunately, started again to have the level pyramid. The caliphate, the leader, the emir, the imam, whatever the leader is, he will take, of course, the top layer of the pyramid, close to the summit. Beneath him will have the officials and the nobles of the country and the scholars, of course. And beneath them, you will have the merchants, the poet, and of course, at the bottom, you will have the non-Muslim. So here will be the non-Muslim, unfortunately, and that is not from Islam. But what can we say? We are human, and to err is human, and to forgive divine. So, any questions so far?
No,
Nope.
pretty straightforward.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, Noel.
I don't understand. Umayyad did not attempt to convert these.
All right. So, for the Umayyad Caliphate, we said that they were one of the most spread civilization in the whole civilization, okay, in the whole history. And to send the troops to Spain, to Morocco, to Asia, to Persia, what do you need?
Army.
Army. And how can you get that army? How can you get the weapons, the horses, the food for the army, the food for the horses?
From stooling or uh, maybe stool, teacher.
Stool. So if you have money,
Yes, I
you
think,
will get
teacher. If you,
food. But if you don't have money,
no, if you have money, if you don't have money, you stool. You have money, you pay. You pay.
steal. You mean steal?
Yeah, all steal. Maybe maybe I have.
No,
What
we
about
Muslims, we do
trading?
not steal.
What about trading though? Like
Trading, yes, that's a fact. Trading brings you
for
money.
weaponry.
But will the money from trade will be sufficient for you to provide troops to go for Asia, Africa, and Europe?
Yeah.
No,
I mean, no. Why?
no, you can't because trade takes months and sometimes years. And the money from
Alright.
the trade
Yeah.
are for the merchants and the traders, not for the leader, not for the army. That's two
Yeah, but if a certain
different types.
empire trades,
So one source of the money inside the caliphate was the taxes that is collected from the non-Muslim. So somehow the Umayyad Caliphate did not force anyone to enter Islam. Of course, it's prohibited first to enter Islam forced. Okay, but they did not tend to change anyone because they pay taxes. So these taxes actually help in our troops. Okay, Nawaf?
Teacher here say Muslim leaders prohibited looting and destruction of
Looting
conquered land.
because, yeah,
Yeah, I mean
the Prophet
that's
Muhammad,
I mean.
he said that if Fatima, daughter of Muhammad, steal, I'll cut her hand. So
No, I don't mean steal, teacher. I mean like if they conquer a state, they take everything.
they what?
Conquer.
That's conquer.
Conquer.
No,
Yeah.
no. That's prohibited also because it's not yours to take. Otherwise, you are just an invader, not an opener.
Okay, teacher, prohibited mean they hate
Not
this
allowed
thing.
in our. Not allowed.
Oh,
Prohibited.
I now understand what meaning.
Okay, so looting is prohibited, stealing is prohibited. Okay, that's why Muslims did not do that. But you are speaking about in the battlefield. So after the battlefield and one army, one to the other, they can take the money and things from the losing one. غنائم in لغة عربية. D'accord? Everything is clear now?
For
Yes.
me, yeah.
All right. As always, nice having you today, mine, and see you tomorrow.
Okay, yes.
All right.
Thank you, teacher.
Take
See you
care.
tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, bye.
You